Hello and welcome to a brand new series on Supremacy 1914. I am going to be providing you guys with an ultimate guide on how to succeed. The reason I came up with this idea is that when I was starting off in this game so many years ago now, there was not enough content out there actually teaching me how I should begin. And so with a lot of struggling, many failures, I've got to the point now where I feel confident and happy enough to share with you what I have learnt so you can succeed and bypass many painful years that I experienced trying to master this game. So in this episode, we are going to cover everything that you need to start in Supremacy 1914. Firstly, I think it would be a good idea to give a bit of an overview on the game. So the actual game is fairly straightforward. We are set in 1914, so World War I, First World War, although I suppose back then you didn't really call it that, you just called it the Great War. So, well, whatever you want to call it, it was that era of time. And your responsibility is to lead your country to victory. How do you lead your country to victory, I hear you ask? Well, there are a few different ways. Firstly, by having a successful economy. Secondly, by having a powerful army. And thirdly, and most importantly, by conquering as much land as you feasibly can to get you to that oh so precious victory progress. And as you can see in this one game that I've just pulled up, I'm currently in first place with 511 points, and I need to get to 1,000 points for a solo victory. But how do you get these points, I hear you ask? Well, there are a range of different ways, which is what we are going to be covering in this series. But fundamentally, the win condition is the fact that you are going to get to the victory threshold before anyone else in the map. So the first very important step you're going to take is actually choosing a game. And you do that by pressing this games tab here. It's very intuitive, and whether you're playing on browser, mobile, or just like me on desktop, it's going to be fairly straightforward as to where you want to click. So once you're on games here, you're going to be given an absolutely overwhelming number of games you could potentially join. The key things you want to keep in mind are that you have certain ones that are events. They are special sessions that don't last forever. If you find one that you really like the look of, then make sure you click on it and enter that game. You also have your speed rounds. So these are rounds that if we click on the Great War, for example, it will say it runs in 4 times speed. This can be very beneficial for when you're trying to get some experience in this game, because if you were to go for a standard length game like South America 1914, it takes a very long time to progress. And when you're trying to learn, sometimes going for a speed round like the Great War here or Shattered America in 4 times speed can be the better way to go. Although you have to keep in mind, you're not just running at 4 times speed, but all of your opponents are as well. So when you're sleeping from 11 p.m. until 8 in the morning, those opponents are going to be traveling 4 times faster and might be taking over your provinces 4 times faster as well. You have larger maps like the World in Flames here, where you can have up to 100 players online, or even the Great War, where you can have 500 players. As well as these sometimes being a little bit laggy and buggy, the key issue is that there is just so much happening for a beginner. And so what I would always recommend is going into a game such as the Great War on speed mode. And so what you're going to do is just press join just like this, and you're going to confirm, and you are given a huge choice as to where you want to start. Now, you can see a lot of these countries have been grayed out because other people have chosen them. I personally would always start as Morocco or Southern USA. The reason is that they only have one bordering country respectively. They're protected by the sea on a significant portion of their land, and they have pretty good resources. Unfortunately, they have both been taken. And so I am actually going to choose Spain. You just click on the country you want. You could potentially pick one randomly if you want some excitement. Otherwise, you're good to confirm and enter the game. And so here we are. This is our country in green here, and all of the other countries on the map right now are being controlled by different players. There are going to be some countries that you notice don't have a name around it, such as Portugal here, or Poland, Switzerland. And there are 2 key reasons for this. Firstly, a player hasn't actually claimed that land. Or secondly, it's an AI-run country, which you do have scattered around the map in certain areas. So if we just zoom in a little bit and we start focusing on our land first, you will notice that our country Spain is split up into various different provinces. Now each province has a specialty production. Places like Valencia, Madrid, Salamanca all have this little grain icon. And what this basically means is that this province produces grain. You could go to another province like Barcelona, where they produce coal. Santiago does lumber, and we have Sevilla and Malaga that produce iron. All of these resources are extremely important, although some are a bit more important than others, and we will get onto this in the next episode. You will also notice that within our map, there is one province that is highlighted as Madrid. And when we zoom out, it is the one that our name is centered around. This is our capital city. You can see it here, and it is of critical importance that you protect it, because as soon as you lose your capital city, the morale of the rest of your provinces will drop, which will reduce your production of resources, which means you can't build an army, which means you can't defend yourself, and you're going to be taken over. It is a cycle. So it's very important that you protect your capital with your life. And so you might be thinking, well, we've got a capital building here, but none of the other provinces have anything built in. So is that something I should do? Absolutely it is. It's in fact the first thing you should do when you zone into a map. And it is very straightforward as to what you should build. So we're going to select Madrid to start off with, and we are going to select the construction tab here. Now this can be very overwhelming when we first take a look at it. You scroll down, there are loads and loads of things you can build. Luckily for us to start off with, the factory, railways and aerodromes cannot actually be constructed yet because we have to wait until day 6. And so that leaves us with 4 buildings that we could be producing. We've got fortresses that, pretty self-explanatory, protect your land. You have recruiting offices that recruit troops into your army. You have barracks that increase your troop capacity and also allows you to develop cavalry units, and workshops that can give you a whole load of new developments that can be really quite exciting. But to start off with, we're going to start with recruiting offices. These are the resources that we are going to have to spend to afford this. So 1,000 money. Well, we've got 158k, so we don't have to worry about that. 250 iron ore. Well, again, 13k we've got, so we don't have to worry about that. And lumber, 250 once again. And we've got 12k. And so what you're going to do as the first building you construct in this game is a recruiting office. And so we're going to press build. The construction time is slowly ticking down, or I should say pretty rapidly, considering some of these other buildings like barracks will take 6 hours to build. And once this is constructed, you will notice something highlight here. So we're just going to click out of this tab for a sec, and we're going to press this notification. That's going to tell us our recruiting office has been constructed in Madrid. Now, considering how cheap these offices are to construct and considering how critical they are for building up an army, we're going to highlight the remainder of our provinces. On PC, I'm doing this by holding down Shift and clicking on the rest of our provinces surrounding, not forgetting the Balearic Islands here of Menorca, Mallorca, and Ibiza. Once everything has been highlighted, we're going to press construction and we are going to build ourselves 9 recruiting offices. And just like our first recruiting office we built, it's going to be constructed very quickly, as we can see here with our 9 notifications, and they have all been constructed. You guys might have noticed when we were looking at our resources tab earlier, however, some of our resources like grain or iron ore are in the positive. We're getting 1,300 per hour, 190 per hour, whereas some resources like fish or lumber, we're actually losing by 268 an hour. We can adjust this by going to one of the tabs along here known as resources. If we click on the resources slider here, you can see our resources are split into sections. We've got our food, so grain and fish. We have our materials, iron ore and lumber, and we also have energy, so coal, oil and gas, and each resource is used for a different thing. The great thing about this is that we have these slider bars that we can use to adjust our resource usage. So if we look at grain, for example, grain is currently being used less than we are producing it. So if we increase our use of grain, it will start to go down. However, our fish production will start to increase. As you can see, we have gone into the negatives now for grain. And the reality is that the way our country is right now, we cannot be in a position where both are being produced in the positives. So what we're going to do, considering we have got such high resources, we're going to find a middle ground where we're losing about 30 to 40 per hour, which is pretty sustainable at this point. Iron and lumber is a slightly different story, because if we increase the use of our iron, our lumber will actually gradually come into the positives, and we can find a nice balance where we're producing still a little bit more iron than we are producing lumber, but this balance for the time being is pretty good. And I would say you want to have a ratio of something like 3 to 2 in favor of iron ore. Materials are so extremely important. Food is very important in this game, but your materials are even more important. They are critical, and make sure you remember this. And the next thing we're going to look at now is energy. Once again, coal is massively being produced here, and so we're going to increase our coal production a fair bit. We're going to make sure no oil is being used, and we are trying to accumulate as much as we can, because of these 3 resources, oil is the most important to us. Remember that. And having our gas being depleted at this rate at this point in the game really isn't too much of an issue, because we are only going to be using gas later on in the game. So if there's anything you guys should take from this tab here, it's that iron and lumber are critical, and oil is as well for the beginning of your game. Now, you might notice that we have got France north of us here, along these 2 borders of Bordeaux and Toulouse. And by the looks of it, this person's French troops are all accumulating in Toulouse. Now, why might that be? Well, if we zoom out a little bit, you'll come to realize there is literally no good reason as to why their troops are accumulating here if it isn't for the fact that they are trying to attack us. Our southern borders here seem to be pretty safe, and I think these Moroccan troops that are all collecting in this province are probably after the very nearby capital of West Algeria, so I'm not going to worry about our southern border too much. Instead, we're going to focus on this threat from France in the north. Looking at things right now, I'm assuming, just like each of the infantry divisions we have, each of these troops are going to be 10 units. And so if they have 10, 20, 30, and 40 units accumulating here, I think I'm going to up that so we have a stronger army by putting maybe 60 units in. And the way you do that is by clicking on a division like this one and then pressing move. You can then drag along the map wherever you want to take them. So we're going to take them over to Barcelona here, and whilst holding down shift just like we did before, we are going to bring 1, 2, 3 and 4 more divisions over here. The reason why they're all going to be collecting here to defend is that if you look at Toulouse here, for them to attack us, there is only one route here. If they wanted to, they could come up this path and then back down here, but I would see that with lots of time to prepare for. Particularly considering if they came to Bordeaux, they also had a path here to attack our undefended province down over here. You will also notice that around each and every one of our infantry divisions, there is a light circle surrounded by a fainter white circle. That is basically what we can see. Within this white circle, we can see the number of troops that are coming towards us from our enemy side. However, whilst they're in this fainter white circle perimeter, you can see there are divisions or armies coming towards us, but we don't know how many. However, I'm making an assumption that there are going to be 40 divisions coming towards here. If you hover over any of these divisions, it will tell you how long it's going to take for them to travel. So for this one over here, it's going to take 54 minutes. This one here is going to take an hour and a half, just under. And so I'm not too worried about these guys coming and attacking me in that time, because although they might travel through their land very quickly, as soon as you're in someone else's territory, an enemy's territory, you start to move a lot slower. So keep that in mind as well. I do also have my eye on Portugal. And the reason for that is that it's only 4 provinces, and by taking this out now, we will stop them from getting stronger, and we'll be able to get some land which we are very much in need of. And so what I'm going to do is go for the capital, Lisbon, because like I said earlier, as soon as you go for a capital, the rest of the country will crumble. And so what I'm actually going to do here is something slightly different. By holding down the right button on my mouse, I'm going to encapsulate and circle round these troops. I'm also actually going to snatch this division here, which is currently on its way to defend us from the French. And when I let go of that button, all 40 troops have been selected. Now, instead of pressing move, I'm going to press attack because I'm not just moving these troops somewhere, I'm wanting them to attack. And once I do, I have the option to select Lisbon and they all start to move there. The thing is, however, is that this division here is going to arrive first, and then this one, and then probably this one, and then this one. The problem with that is that our divisions are stronger when they are all together. So I'm actually going to press this delay function here and simply press set delay. And what this means is that our furthest away division right now, which is this one, is going to start moving whilst this one waits. And then when it arrives here, this one will stop waiting and they'll both come here. And this one has also been factored in. So they all arrive at this point at the same time. And so we're going to have a division of 40 units all attacking Lisbon at once and hopefully catching them off guard. And considering we've redirected this division, let's grab this one here and we will shift it over to Barcelona to defend ourselves. One other thing I'm going to do is select all of our provinces that are producing valuable resources. And so like I said earlier, I'm going to hold down shift again to select these. Our iron ore provinces are very important, so I'm going to select these three, as well as wood. So I'm going to select wood. With all four of these selected, I'm going to press construction and we're going to build a workshop in each place. It only takes 4 seconds to build. We've got plenty of resources to do this with. And once these are built, we are going to be able to produce something really quite cool. If we go up to land now, this will show us all of the land units we can produce. And you can see armored cars we can develop 4 of. And that's because we have just produced 4 workshops which can develop armored cars. So we're going to press produce for all 4 of these. And that is because armored cars add bulk to your armies. If we get attacked by the French, and we have 60 units here, right? If we have an armored car or 2 as well here, it's going to help us bulk out our army and take some more hits. At this point, I would not be building fortresses because they're going to cost resources. And really at this point, our opponents haven't had enough time to develop an army whereby we should be justifying fortresses. The next and final thing I'm going to show you guys this episode, if we zoom out a little bit, is dabbling into diplomacy. We look at Morocco here and you see their troops moving in this direction. Perhaps could be perceived as them moving closer towards us. Well, that is concerning for us and we want to assure security along our southern border. So if we click on our diplomacy tab here and we click on Morocco and we find Morocco here and we go all the way to this messaging tab, we can actually send them a message. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to say, good morning, General, I hope you're well, because adding roleplay to this game is always a plus. And I said that I see you have some troops moving around. I trust we can assure peace between our nations. And I'm going to send it out. Hopefully they'll reply to us some point soon, but getting these messages out can really enhance your experience playing this game, and in many ways can actually help. We're going to do the same to France as well. We're going to click on diplomacy and we're going to scroll up to France and we're going to send them some mail. And we're going to say, good morning, General. I trust we can assure peace between our nations. Once again, if anything, this is going to just delay them attacking us so we can get our troops into a nice defensive position. And there you go, guys. The beginnings of a new empire. We have covered the win conditions of what's needed to actually succeed in this game. We've chosen our starting country. We have understood what provinces are and the importance of resources. We have constructed recruiting offices in every province alongside a few workshops, and we have started to move some troops, 60 units towards the east to defend against France, and 40 units to the west to attack Lisbon and Portugal. Next episode, we will go into some more detail about resources and what they can all be used for. So until next time, I wish you all the best of luck in your future battles, and stay tuned with this tutorial series to become a master at Supremacy 1914. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video so this tutorial can be pushed onto even more people to learn about this wonderful game. And I will see you all very, very soon.